All right, here I am at the abandoned railroad crossing here at Greenville Street in Saluda, North Carolina. Well, this is technically both the Mount Page Road / Greenville Street, but if this is Mount Page Road, then that's the shortest road ever. But we're just gonna call it Greenville Street since that's what it is. And this railroad crossing right here, if you guys don't recognize it already, this is the infamous Saluda railroad crossing owned by the Norfolk Southern Saluda grade, and which is actually the steepest mainline grade in the entire country with a, what was it, a 4.1%, 4.7% grade along the entire line basically. So it's basically like a super steep grade main line owned by Norfolk Southern in the past, and also formerly by the Southern Railway. And they pretty much abandoned this back in 2001 because this line. So actually, could you explain where this line would take you to and fro, and why they took this line, if you remember?
So if you go due north, that takes you to Asheville, North Carolina. And
Yeah.
if you go due south, that goes to Spartanburg, South Carolina. And this is part of the W line that connects Columbia, South Carolina, Asheville, North Carolina. And when this line was built, this was owned by the Asheville and Spartanburg Railroad.
Yeah, pretty much. And since they found a different way from Asheville to Spartanburg, they don't use this line anymore. And plus, as I just explained, since it's the steepest rail grade in the world, they have abandoned it, and they just don't, not in the world, but like in the country, they have abandoned it because, well, it's obviously a little dangerous, and the trains tend to stall here a lot, including Norfolk and Western 611, which ran their steam special like sometime before it was 11.
Ran through here twice. First time it stalled, second time it had diesel helpers.
Oh, yeah. So, yeah, that's like a little bit of a brief history on the line itself. Now, this this crossing right here is one of the only railroad crossings with actual equipment along the grade. Most of the other ones are just crossbucks.
This used to be crossbucks.
Yeah, and this crossing install itself also used to be crossbucks. This was like a early 90s or late 90s install, I believe. Early 90s. But yeah, and I guess with all that said, since I'm pretty much finally here in Saluda, North Carolina, I decided to tour. So I guess all that said, let's go ahead and see what kind of equipment this has. It's a pretty neat install, and this is only one signal. The other signal sadly got knocked down, in which I'll explain in a little bit. So with that said, here's the equipment. So for the first signal, or the only signal, this has a Cerami base. And here's the emergency information. It says it has no blue tag, and it used to have a license plate Southern style dot tag on here, or Southern license plate style dot tag up here, but it's gone now. So here's emergency information for Mount Page or Greenville Street, and the dot number is 720-683F. So yep, and if I sneak by this police car right here, which I'm surprised they still use cars this old for the police department. So for the gate mechanism, this has a SafeTran gate mechanism, 1980s generation, with the Modern Industries gate arms, which is pretty cool. Well,
it's missing
yep, and it's missing the other gate arm, so it's just a Modern Industries gate arm. And the gate obviously no longer exists here. It's been gone for God only knows how long. And for the lights on this one, this has two pairs of Modern Industries 12 by 24 inch incandescent lights, all sitting on a Modern Industries light bracket. Now, as you can see, they are turned upwards because this crossing's abandoned, and the lights also used to have bags over them, but obviously they're gone now. And for the bell on this one, this has a Western Cullen Hayes mechanical bell, 2nd generation, and since this bell isn't frozen, you can actually ring this one. Yep, that's what it sounds like. Here, I would like to have the honor of me shaking the Saluda crossing bell. So, yep, that's pretty much what it sounds like. So that right there is the lone standing signal at Greenville Street here in downtown Saluda, North Carolina. Now, let's go ahead and go over to where the second signal used to remain. So yeah, pretty much right here, here's the remains of the second signal, which had pretty much the exact same setup as that first one, but it had no bell, and it also had side lights for this main road right here. I'll post an image of it right here. This is what it used to look like. Pretty much the same Modern Industries / SafeTran setup, but with no bell and whatnot. And once again, like I said, it used to have bags over the lights too, but they removed them.
What happened to it was a dump truck ran into it and knocked it over. And in fact, it laid on the rails for like, I think 3 weeks before they finally hauled it away for junk.
Yeah, which is a big rip. So yep.
Here's something interesting. Here's a Cerami box right here.
So yeah, and I was actually just going to mention that. There's a little Cerami power box right here that still stands. And you can see the old, post right here that tells you where it pretty much goes. So that's Main Street facing right here. And yeah, it says Greenville on the side. Pretty neat.
Yeah, this foundation, you can tell how it really really ripped it off right here.
Yeah, you can see it popped the nuts off, and it underneath here should reveal the wires, but I don't think there's been any like actual connection under here for God only knows how long. So yeah, that pretty much is what the equipment here for Greenville Street for the abandoned crossing on the Norfolk Southern Saluda grade. Here's the relay case right over there. It's pretty neat. So yeah, I guess all that said, let's go ahead and take a look at the track view. So down there is heading south towards pretty much where it goes downhill from the grade. So it goes down.
And Melrose is down that way too.
Yep, and CP Melrose is down that way too, which in case you guys don't know, is probably like one of my favorite control points. CP Melrose has, you obviously have this
half control point, half direct block point kind of deal.
Pretty much, but point being, what it had a runaway track that went up an extremely steep hill. So
it's still there.
Yeah, and it's pretty much still there, including the signals and everything. But
I don't think it'll be worth going to check it out right now. It's very, very overgrown over there.
Right.
And it's a huge mess right now.
So basically, it has a runaway track that goes completely uphill, which takes speeding trains up that track and stop them using simple physics, which is pretty freaking cool.
There's been many major derailments that happen from that runaway track too.
Yeah, it's very jank, but it works usually, and you can see a little boardwalk that goes over.
That was runaway track number 2. Runaway track number 1 was taken out, like, I forgot when.
Oh yeah, there was 2 of them. But yeah, there's also a little boardwalk that leads you to the little park. They just put that up?
Yeah.
Oh, I thought that was always there.
And that way leads you to Asheville, North Carolina. If you were to keep
facing
going this
north,
way,
yep.
If you were to keep going this way, you will end up at Zirconia, Hendersonville, Fletcher, and eventually to Asheville.
Yep, and right there is the old whistle post, and you can see a tree has fallen over there once again.
Saluda grade monument sign right there.
Yep, there's a monument sign right over there for the Saluda grade, and you can see just by the crossing grade itself, it is very well abandoned. Not exactly super paved over, but yeah, it's like not in the condition you would see of an active signal grade, crossing grade. So yeah, that pretty much what there is to show for the abandoned railroad crossing on the NS Saluda grade, one of the ones with actual equipment here in downtown Saluda. Here's another view of the signal. So yeah, I guess all that said, this was the abandoned crossing on Greenville Street / Mount Page Road, apparently, here in Saluda, North Carolina. So yeah, that it is right there for your guys' tour of the Saluda grade, kind of. Well, one of the crossings on there. So I guess all that said, over and out.